As we talked, kind of throughout the year really, and then last night afterwards we talked, and I think I got a sense that he was ready to step away, and I appreciate how he's handled it. As you know, he's a classy individual, and we've been fortunate to have him, so I know it was a tough decision to come to, and certainly appreciate how he's handled it.
So you weren't surprised that this was his call?
No, not really. Kind of, like I said, we knew what our expectations were for both of us. We didn't quite meet those yet this year. So.
Coach, what did you think about coaches, what he said about the FBI investigation and the fact there hasn't been? I talked to another AD this morning, a Big 12 AD, who said, I think that was spot on.
Well, it's frustrating for coaches, though, particularly for coaches like Bruce that don't have situations or violations that they're being looked at, and it's frustrating for all of us in the business that it's taken this long to come to some sort of conclusion. And we've actually talked about that within the NCAA. We got to come up with some different enforcement processes. I think it's going to be part of the reclassification stuff that we're talking about at this level. So I get his frustration, and I can't argue with anything he said.
Gene, is there anything in particular that you'll be looking for in your next men's basketball coach?
I actually, you think about it all the time. There's a lot of good things that we do, and there's a lot of good things about Bruce Weber that, are still very, very important for us as a program, and certainly all those characteristics are going to be, I think this program, and I told our players this morning, I said, the reason this job is attractive is because of what you guys have put together as a team and as a group of individuals. And so I think we'll get some great candidates, whether it's a sitting head coach or a top assistant. I think we're going to look at all of those and see what's out there and express the interest, and we're going to start moving right away. We're not going to waste any time, and we're going to try to start talking to people as soon as we can.
The press release said the terms of his contract will be fulfilled. Does that mean the buyout or the full?
Yeah, it's the $1 million that'll still be upheld, and then we'll. He'll be on, kind of administrative leave or whatever you want to call it until the end of April, and so then at that point we'll do the buyout and all the other things that come with it. And he's worried about the assistants. I understand that. We're going to send them to the Final Four and do all the things we can for them until their contracts run out.
What's your expectation for this job, for the performance, long term?
Well, I think for all of our programs, we should be in a position to compete for Big 12 championships on a regular basis, and. Certainly in a sport like basketball, to be able to qualify for the NCAA tournament on a pretty consistent basis. And, it's tough to win a Big 12 championship. As you know, we won a couple under Bruce, and it's been a long time before that that we won one. So winning a championship is certainly our goal, but it's more important to put ourselves in a position to qualify for NCAA tournaments and go as deep as we can. And that's the thing we should all expect, absolutely.
How should K-State fans remember Bruce's tenure here?
I think very fondly. I really do. I think, he, for whatever reason, Bruce just wasn't enamored. The fan base just didn't, hug him right out of the gate from day one. And he's done nothing but do it the right way. He's a classy guy, like I said. He treats our athletes tremendously well, and he's been very successful. And I think that's what they should remember: is a Big 8 run, a couple of Big 12 championships, and a program that's run clean.
Financially, are you guys in a position where you can spend as much or as little money as you want on this next coach?
I wish we could spend as much, but no, we can't. But I think we need to be competitive, and as you know, all of our salaries are typically not at the highest of the Big 12. But if we want to get the best candidate, we need to put a package together that can attract the best candidate. And there may be candidates out there that we don't have to pay the top dollar, but we can grow into that depending on how the success they have. But we're going to be within reason and within our budget, but also make sure we're in a position to be competitive from a salary perspective.
You mentioned he wasn't welcome with open arms right at the beginning. You weren't here then. He mentioned today on the Zoom about social media being rough. The fans are tough at K-State, and he also talked about recruiting, getting kids to come to Manhattan. What are your thoughts about those things, first the social media part of it and kind of dealing with that, and then the part, can you recruit at the highest level in Manhattan?
Oh, I think you can. There's no question. I mean, that's with our facilities and our fan base. I was just telling our staff last night, Casey was sitting next to me, we made that run at the end and the fans stood up and went crazy. They were loud, and there was mainly purple. And so I said, think about that. We're a team with 14 wins. What imagine we're going to be if we have 20 and 21? And so the fan base is loyal, and they certainly are supportive. And like I said, sometimes Bruce isn't treated with the love and respect that he deserves by some fans. And it's not all of them. I mean, it's your typical, some people on Twitter that just have an opinion that they always express it, and it's not, in some cases, not been fair, but majority of our fan base, a great majority of our fan base are really great fans, and they're really loyal, and certainly we support us at a high level.
Is there any concern for attrition on the current roster?
Anytime you do a coaching change, you always worry about that, right? And as young people that have never been through this, the first thought is, oh my goodness, I got to go somewhere because I don't know who the coach is going to be. I asked our guys this morning when I talked to them for patience. I said, please, you have plenty of time. Let me get a chance and us get a chance to bring a head coach that you have a chance to visit with. If you do want to transfer, that's up to you, obviously, with the transfer portal. But I asked them to trust us, you guys came here for a reason. That reason hasn't changed other than that Coach Weber is not going to be your coach. Give us a chance to bring that coach in, have you a chance, and then you can make decisions after that. And if I, need to do some individual meetings with them, I certainly will. I ask for their feedback as kind of what they're looking for in a coach. If they had names of individuals, I certainly would want to hear that, and a couple of guys have already reached out to me.
Basketball's a little bit different than football this time of year. You guys are focused on the NCAA tournament, maybe not so willing to talk like before bowl games. How will you kind of navigate that as you move forward?
Well, we'll do it as best we can and be respectful, but I think, with the world of Zoom, you can probably get a couple of things set up and not really impact, as there's a lot of dead time between tournaments, and even while they're at a tournament, there's a lot of quiet time. So I think if we can, like I said, get moving here in the next day or so, we'll have a chance to talk to people before before they get too deep into their postseason stuff.
Do you have a timeline in your mind at all, or not yet?
Not really. It's just going to be kind of, right now we're putting feelers out to candidates to see what their interest is, and once we get that interest back, then we'll start putting together a timeline. But, I'd like to not get to the Final Four with, as I said to some, I don't want to go to the Final Four with a coaching position in my back pocket. That's like the worst thing you can do. So if we can get it before then, that'd be great.
You guys going to hire
transfer
consultants,
portal-
or just going to be just you?
Yeah, we do have a search firm that we're working with.
Who is that?
It's
Can
a
you tell us?
Turnkey Associates, and the individual that's doing it helped us with the football search.
Have you already
With
had
the-
people
Yeah,
reach
he's
out
good.
to you?
With name, image, and likeness, and with the transfer portal, how does that change a search today and the chance to rebuild today versus 5 years ago?
Well, I think it's kind of similar in the recruiting world. A year ago, recruits weren't asking about what are your name, image, and likeness opportunities. I think a coaching candidate's going to say, what kind of opportunities do you have at K-State for name, image, and likeness? And, we obviously have examples of some of our athletes that are receiving pretty good deals, and I think we have some interest out there to even get more opportunities. So that's absolutely going to be a question, and we are prepared to answer that. I think we're in a good position.
Have you already had candidates reach out to you during the process?
Not candidates, but somehow agents get numbers, and I've already had a couple of text messages. So.
Is there a member on the current staff that you can use as a conduit to the players to voice?
Yeah, I think there's a couple. Obviously, those guys have been there and they've been around. I think all the coaches we need to, talk to and visit with and say, hey, help us with the. And they're also looking. They got to, find their opportunities too. So. We didn't talk too much today to any of the staff in great length. When I get back to Manhattan, I'll probably sit down with them and have some more of those conversations and just say, guys, we got to keep this group together as long as we can, and we'll help you, as you look for other opportunities.
Would K-State connections matter to you, just in terms of consideration?
I think just an understanding of who we are as a culture and who we are as a program is going to be important. But, in the world of today, with everything being so out there, whether it's social media and just access, I think just an understanding is more important. I don't think they have to be from the Midwest or they have to be a Kansas State, but certainly if there's people out there, that doesn't hurt.
And you promised that candidate list now?
Yeah, the candidate list. Yeah, I'll get that too. Yeah. I just thought I'd start off a little lighthearted. Yeah. Thanks.
Will you name an interim in the meantime?
Good question. And we've thought about that, but I may do that and just kind of see how things are flowing within, when we get back to Manhattan and just see, if coaches aren't around and we need to have that connection, I may say, hey, I need you to be kind of the interim. If everybody's still around and still kind of communicating and helpful, then we may not do that. But it may be something I'll do down the road.
I don't want to read too much between the lines, but it sounds to me like the guys on your staff now maybe aren't head coaching candidates for this job.
I would say they're not quite ready yet. That's correct.